All right, we are here at Powerhouse. I am doing the very first workout of my new training plan. So as you know, I am switching from powerlifting to bodybuilding, more physique related goals. So I'm here with my new coach, Paul Revelia, who is helping me with my first routine here. It's gonna be a little bit different. I took a look at the plan and it was like death by volume. So the biggest thing for me is I'm gonna have to keep my pace in the gym now or I'm gonna be here forever. So I gotta get away from those powerlifting rest periods and push myself a little bit. Should be good.
He's already done more sets in 30 minutes than he does in 3 hours usually, so.
True. Fact. All right, Coach, talk us through what we're doing here.
Well, basically what we're doing is we're taking Colin, who has been perennially a power lifter for the last, I don't know, 5 years, and we're trying to refocus to add some dense muscle to the areas of his body that have a little bit been kind of forsaken due to the nature of powerlifting, where the focus is putting more weight on the bar, which is great for adding strength and adding muscle, but the focus is not really on adding lean body mass, and that's exactly what we're gonna do. We're gonna focus on thickening up the body parts on Colin that have been a little bit neglected. So primarily for our strength movements, we're gonna focus on things that are not what he's been focusing on. So for chest, we're gonna focus on an incline movement because he's been flat pressing for so long. He's got really good pec development, but we wanna fill in the pec at the top, and we're gonna do some fly stuff and some more stuff that kind of engages the entire pectoral. When it comes to back, we really want to thicken the upper back because although deadlifting does support some lumbar and there's some static strength there, there's not a lot of engagement as far as contraction. So we're going to focus on thickening up the back. And of course legs. As much as he squats and deadlifts, there is a big difference between training for hypertrophy and training for strength. So we're going to start getting into some rep ranges that are going to maybe make him a little bit uncomfortable. We're also going to change the frequency. Whereas he was squatting and deadlifting as much as 3 times a week, we're gonna pull back on that. Squatting and deadlifting are gonna now be accessory work and higher rep ranges because I don't want him to lose those motor patterns in case he does want to get back into powerlifting, and those are also some of his strengths and some of the things he enjoys. So the big overreaching goal here is to put on lean body mass in places that don't get emphasized, things like calves, arms, back, and emphasize his strengths such as his muscle strength that we can utilize to put on some lean body mass. Overall, it's just about finding what he enjoys, finding movements, training in undulating patterns so that we're building strength, building volume over time, and you know, trying to build a physique that's able to get on stage potentially in the next year and a half.
Not do here?
None of this. Takes the pressure off the shoulder and puts it on the triceps. So just keep the stress on the shoulder by keeping your hand out wide. Lift up behind it. Just think straight in line with the ears.
So it's real easy on this movement to let the anterior delts take over. So what I really instruct Colin to do is keep his shoulder blades behind him and pull the arm across the body. The pectoral's main function is pulling the arm across the body. So as long as you're doing that with this movement, you don't need to use a ton of weight. As long as you're doing it properly, you can progress responsibly with the lifting. But this engages a lot of the muscle fibers that you don't hit in a bench or an incline. And then this can be a good gateway to doing like some dumbbell flies. The difference is on here, there's tension all the way, whereas with a dumbbell fly, when gravity is lost at the top, you kind of lose that tension, whereas here, the tension's at its peak, and he's at the full contraction right there. So now your shoulders are taking over, so arch that back, keep the shoulders out of it, pull across, there you go. Good. When the shoulders take over, just stop. You felt that?
Oh yeah. Okay, so we got first session in the books. A little help from my homie Paul. Yeah. Tell me some of the things that you noticed that were some of the mistakes I made with this crossover, if they were typical or not, and some of the things to watch out for.
You know, I haven't done a lot of this, so I don't want to say what's typical and what's not typical, but I will say that I can definitely tell your background is in powerlifting because you are definitely tending to favor the muscle groups that have been a little more well developed. So the first thing I noticed was in the back movements, your delts wanted to take over a lot, right? Because engaging the muscles of the back, the latissimus, the trapezius, I'm forgetting all the names of the back muscles, but engaging them is a little different because, you know, with the focus on powerlifting, we're focusing on core stabilization, not necessarily training those muscles. So when we got to the chest, again, the big focus was getting the tension off your interior delts. Your interior delts want to take over. And I think that's a function of the weight that you bench with a little bit wider grip, so your pecs are not as engaged. So the stronger muscle is always going to try to take over. Also, your neural adaptations are designed in that way. Again, when we went to like the fly movement, you know, something I've had to learn, because I used to make the same mistake, is that my shoulders will want to take over. So instead of letting the delt take over, you want to keep the chest back, the shoulder back, and let the pec do the work. So it's just a matter of kind of, you know, relearning the neural connections, paying attention each time you train. Over time, they become secondary, but it's still always good to revisit the right motor patterns. One good thing to focus on early on in training is a good slow eccentric, not allowing yourself to swing the weights or use any momentum. Over time, you can use those as tools, but you don't want them to focus early on and ego lift too much. So right now, it's probably going to be a couple weeks, a couple sessions we'll train together. You know, he's probably going to fall back in and out of good habits, but overall, it was a fantastic first day. I think his chest is really sore. He should have a little bit of a sore back tomorrow, and you know, overall, just a good pump.